UD alum Ty Jones returned to his alma mater last month to deliver the Paul R. Jones Annual Lecture, part of a university initiative that uniquely engages students with African American art. I sat down with Jones, the producing artistic director of the Classical Theater of Harlem, to discuss some of the challenges he faces leading a nonprofit theater company. Can you walk me through how you got to be the director at the Classical Theater of Harlem?
I am the artistic director, what I call the producing artistic director. So mainly it means I'm responsible for the art and making sure the money is there that we can do this art. And how it happened was, it's kind of interesting. So I received my master's in fine arts and classical theater from the University of Delaware. But one of the things I noticed is that I worked consistently throughout the United States. No problems working. But I always felt like I wasn't a whole artist. And what I mean by it is, let's say they were auditioning for Romeo and Juliet. There would be no problem for me to play Benvolio or Tybalt. But I wouldn't even be given an opportunity to audition for Romeo. You know, Henry V, the Dauphin, the Constable, no problem, but not Henry. So I wanted an opportunity to have a play on my shoulders that I had to help carry, or at least be a lead-in to carry. And that came about when I moved to New York City, and a friend of mine said, "Hey man, you come check out this Classical Theater of Harlem." So it was founded in '99. I wasn't there until 2003. I auditioned for them. They cast me on the spot. I did a play called The Blacks, a clown show. I ended up winning an Obie Award, which is kind of like the off-Broadway equivalent of a Tony, for my performance. But I think the most impactful thing is that I'm looking at kids that look like me, that are seeing us do, roles that most likely never would be available for me in regionals. And I continue to do that. Now, unfortunately, the leadership at the time, was quite abysmal, just going to be honest with you. And then when the financial crisis hit, it exposed our deficits, including the leadership that we had at the time. We had about $300,000 worth of debt. There was a necessary change in terms of leadership. And there everything was. And I was on the board at the time. And I did not believe that it was right that this entire thing had to go away due to bad leadership. That's when I just rolled up my sleeves and got on the phone and had lunch meetings, talked about the vision of creating the next great American theater company and how to do that.
What are the challenges that you face running a nonprofit theater?
As a society, we are so numbers driven, data driven, that if it doesn't fit into a spreadsheet, then somehow it isn't valid. The anecdotes that come out of showing up at a senior center, right? And you perform for them, and it may be just an empty stage, or an empty space, and you perform, and you somehow move this person in some meaningful way, and they tell you, I forgot about my pain for the hour that you were here. Thank you. I can't put that in a spreadsheet. I can put that in some sort of anecdote, great. But unfortunately, I've been finding that a lot of folks who fund the arts, they either are only interested in brand association, meaning that, the theaters that are sort of too big to fail have an opportunity or access to that funding, or they only will, fund things where they can see that, oh, you help this many people out, therefore it means that we can give you this much money, and I'm like, you have to look at it differently. There's also perception issues, okay? So the prevailing perception is that, things that are bigger must be better. Things that are sort of shinier, they must be better. So when the larger, well-funded places do work, it just must mean that that's where the good stuff is happening. And I am not here to dismiss the work that they're doing, but I want folks to open their eyes to the things that are happening with companies that may be considered fringe companies, like a small black theater company, Latino company. Those small companies are the ones that are doing the real, truly impactful work. And there has to be attention given and funding given to those organizations.
Do you think that your theater that you have founded in Harlem is making that sort of an impact, and what kinds of topics do you bring to the theater?
I think a lot of the choices that we make are deliberate ones. Our plays, I look at what's going on in the world, and trust me, there are millions of plays out there that talk about every single thing that's ever happened in life, and I try to find those plays and put them on in such a way that allows people to comment on the world in which we live.